the voice of the retail automotive industry.
Hi everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick with CBT News. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. Today we've got an old friend of CBT News and just a great car guy, Mr. James Boening. He is president of Boening Enterprises. James, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Well, I appreciate you having me on. I really do. Thank
you. Sure. So you are a seasoned automotive veteran. I mean, you are a car guy from, I think, probably the time you could ride a tricycle. You said, you know what, we should be selling these things. And so you really know the car business. You've worked for some of the biggest publicly traded companies out there, both on the new car side, the used car side, running highly successful high-line dealerships and such. And now you're in your own gig, which is obviously Boening Enterprises, helping dealers across the country in different areas of their operation to make them more streamlined, more efficient, more profitable at the end of the day, which is what every dealer wants. Tell us, I'd be interested to know what your take on the state of the auto industry is right now. And what are you telling your clients to do in an effort to, kill it in 2021?
Well, there's a couple different things. So Boening Enterprises basically is partnering with technology companies, because I think that's how I always stayed in front of, a lot of people, was technology, cutting edge technology. So we've formed some great relationships with, Car Offer. We partnered with Car Offer. We just partnered with another QR company. And what I want to do is give these technologies and give my experience with it. And so, well, how does that work? So, take everything that, I've done over the last 34 years, from owning in my own dealerships to running and being a part of bigger dealerships and publicly traded and private companies, and kind of wrap all that in to one scenario and help people grow their business. What I don't want to do is be that guy that has all these solutions. I want to have a linear focus, and mainly the linear focus is used cars. I mean, you and I have talked about used cars, for years, back in 2018, and it's always been a focus of mine, and I've always been blessed enough to have great people around me to grow used cars. But it comes down to a mindset, I think. And there's a lot of dealers out there that, especially coming out of COVID, rolling into 2021 with the new car chip problem issue, I'll say, that used cars was exploding back in 18, and it's not changed. Matter of fact, it just keeps getting harder and harder to acquire used cars, to find good used cars, to grow your used car business, to find margin. And I think that I'm going to be able to help these dealers find that, because used cars is really where it's going, as far as I'm concerned. I'm not saying not to sell new cars. That feeds used cars. But
so what is it that you're telling your clients when they call you today and they say, James, what should we be focused on? A, and then B, how to price them and make money on them?
Acquisition starts with acquisition. And I'm telling all of them that if you're eliminating any source to find a car, I don't care if it's Manheim, I don't care if it's a Desta, I don't care if it's ACD auction, I don't care if it's Car Offer. If you are eliminating any source at this moment, just because you don't feel comfortable in that arena, you're going to be behind the curve.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm pushing, is acquisition. Because here's what they're saying to me: well, the cars are too much. It's kind of funny in some way, because I've never heard anyone not say that any time in the car business. Cars are too expensive.
That's right.
So
yeah, I've never heard a used car manager come back and go, "Boy, did I get some great deals today!"
Right?
It's always, "Oh my God, you got to pay, you got to pay the moon for these cars." Until, of course, that same used car manager goes out and appraises one of my trade-ins, and he goes, "Oh yeah, this is all this car will do." And I'm like, 2 minutes ago, you were just telling me how much money these brought at the auction.
There's exactly.
But those used car managers, and I can say this because I was one, they want to steal those trade-ins, right? Of course, they got to do what they got to do to sell used new cars. But at the end of the day, it is a used car play for sure right now. Every dealer's focused on it because of the shortage of new cars that are out there right now. But so I guess to your point, you can't pay enough for a good used car, because you got to fill your lots. You got to have something to sell, right? You're going to make. For one dealer, he said, listen, if I buy a car and I really stepped all the way up, and there's no more fun left in the gross profit in terms of what I can sell it for. Let's say I'm going to make a small gross on it. He goes, I'm still going to pick up my $595 dealer fee. I'm still going to make $2,000 on the back end. I'm still going to probably take a trade-in used car deal. I'm going to pick up the service on the car, hopefully the same brand car that we sell new cars, and so there's even that comfortability, right? To say that even if you stepped all the way up on a used car, you're still going to make money on it as a dealer.
That's the bullet as far as I'm concerned. So often, especially publicly traded companies, they're under such a microscope, whether it's from a board of directors, whether it's the CEO chair, that everything, and they're measured on not just net or revenue. They're measured on every single line, and one of them being front margin in used cars. So, but here's what I'm about to say is there was a while back I started and coined the word SuperGross, which basically I'm in the process of writing a book right now on it, and it's really just a paradigm mind shift of a widget, right? So if you're going to sit on the sidelines and say, well, I'm not going to buy cars because I can't make any money on the front of the car, or it's minimal, right? Your margin's 3% on the front of the car. My whole mindset behind this and what SuperGross is going to talk about is, if I brought a widget into a company, no matter what the widget is, no matter what the company is, and you looked at the totality of the gross when you bought that widget, and by the time it sold and left your dealership, it made X dollars. So if I went to a dealer and said, hey, listen, would you be okay with us selling 200 used cars and the dealership making $3,000 in total gross every single time we do it, and dump in $600,000 in gross? Oh, but by the way, when we do that, we're only probably going to make $500 on the front, or we might make $200 on the front, whatever that is. But do you want the 600,000, or would you rather sell 50 cars and be so linear focused on trying to keep your front margin, where you think it should be, and miss out on all the other dollars? I don't get it. I don't understand the mindset, and that's kind of what I'm trying to teach people, show people, and listen, it's not just a mindset. It has to be built within your business model. It's down to pay plans. It's down to buy-in. There's so many things that have to go into it than just going, okay, let's do that business model.
That's right. And it does take a team to achieve that gross profit, to make sure that F&I is maximizing what they're going to make on the deal, and to make sure that the desk is working hand in hand with the F&I department to make, or the lease, whatever it might be, to make sure that, if a car goes into the F&I office with a $200 gross, that it doesn't stay at $200 because the guy said, no, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want this, I'm going to bring a credit union check, and all of a sudden you go, oh, we just let one roll for $200 and we didn't pick up that finance. So it's very important that everybody's rowing in the same direction at that dealership and that showroom to maximize that gross profit. So that doesn't happen, right?
There's no doubt about it. But I truly believe when you set pay plans and you put teams together and you structure the deal that way, you can. Just because I've been blessed enough to be a part of that kind of business model and been able to get the people to buy in, and I've proven the business model works. Yeah. So it's not something that I wonder if it works. So that's kind of.
What's your take on digital retailing? Is that something that is going to be here with us for a long time? Is that the future of the industry?
I do. I think that it's an amazing. I'm super excited about it. Obviously, I think that you're going to see more and more and more and more companies, that are just really getting behind that. People don't want to go to dealerships. Yeah. People, really are tired of all the negotiations. I think you'll see a lot more one pricing kind of thing, because as margins do shrink, you're going to have, everyone almost priced at the same market anyway. So if you have the right car, the right color, the right options, you can hold firm on your pricing. So I think with the digital retailing and being able to buy a car without walking into a dealership and actually doing the whole transaction, it's going to be key to people's success.
Yeah.
The other piece that is, I think, a stumbling block, and that's why I partnered with CarOffer, is the efficiency piece of acquisition. And that's what I want to train people on what to do is, if you can set matrix on going out to buy these cars, it's like the stock market. You go in and you say, I want a 2018, Nissan Maxima, this model trim, under 50,000 miles. I don't want it to have a Carfax, and I want it to be at X price, and I'll take 2 of those. Right. And you set your entire inventory and platform up like that, and it sits out there. And when there's a match, it just happens. That creates massive efficiency. I can't tell you how many dealers spend time, hours and hours and hours, searching for inventory.
If you owned your dealership today, would you be actively buying cars off the road? I mean, should we all be doing that in the industry, just like CarMax taught us years ago to say, we'll buy your car even if you don't buy ours?
Well, everyone's getting into it, right? So that's another reason why I partnered with CarOffer, was because they are building a platform with car gurus who bought 51% of CarOffer. They're going to, this is so incredible, it has not rolled out yet, but they're going to take that entire Car Gurus platform of all those people selling cars online, and they're going to level the playing field and being able to push all those people offers, street offers, from the franchise dealers. So it doesn't matter if you're a big guy, you're a large guy, you all of a sudden the playing ground gets level, because you may not have the marketing dollars to go after that, right? I mean, it's just, there's a lot of people that spend a lot of money to go after that business. Well, what if you didn't have to spend the money? And
there are a number of other players in that CarOffer arena now. I mean, the CarOffer is actually one of them, but it seems as though that field is now getting filled up with a number of other players out there. So it's got to be an active ground, right, for these dealers to say, wow, this is incredible. You've got so many different tools now that do help dealers in this area, right?
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it's one of the sources that you never need to, it just needs to be one of your sources. You need to be sourcing from the public.
Yeah, no question about it. So if you had one bit of advice for dealers that are listening today, if you could say, look, Mr. or Mrs. Dealer, if you hear nothing else, hear this. Focus on this for Q2 in 2021. What would that be?
Pre-owned acquisition.
Okay.
If it's not your linear focus, I think you're going to be in a lot of trouble. And I think if you don't change your mindset on what that looks like for your store, I think also you're going to get left behind.
Sure. It is interesting to see how many new car showrooms and managers have become very focused on the used car operations of their dealerships, because they know if they're going to make any money on the bottom line of the dealership, on the net profit or what have you, and the total gross profit, depending on how they get paid, they got to start selling. They got to start switching some customers. They came in on a brand new Silverado, can't get it, or an F-150, and they switch them to a used one. So that's happening in a very big way right now, right?
I think it happened. It's already, I think, so here's the good part. The dealers got to experience this last year in the pandemic with the shortage of new cars. Yeah. So it's not something now that they're trying to learn in 2021. I think that they had to create that dynamic in order to keep their net and revenue up. They had to do that already during the, last year. So I think, but here's going to be the hard part. If it's going to get harder this year to sell pre-owned cars. There's no doubt about it. We depleted the shelves in 2020, at a rapid rate because of the shortage of new. And I think that it's going to intensify at another level. And if acquisition is not your linear focus, you're going to find yourself, I think, in some trouble this year.
Yeah, I would agree. James Boening, president of Boening Enterprises. For dealers that are out there that are looking to take their dealership to the next level and crush it in 2021 and beyond, James is a great car guy that can kind of jump in, dive down, see where the issues are, see where they lie, and help you work out of them, and then put you on the right course. So, James, thank you so much for joining us on CBT News. I know that our viewers will get a lot out of your visit. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for watching CBT News, the voice of the retail automotive industry. This is CBT News, the voice of the retail automotive industry. Subscribe today.